Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to talk about one of the most bizarre and tragic natural disasters in history. The Lake Nyos disaster. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel in case you want to learn more curious and interesting incidents that shocked us. First things first, let's talk about Lake Nyos. Lake Nyos is a crater lake located in the Northwest Region of Cameroon, Africa, and south of the dirt road from Wam, about 30 kilometers to the west, to Nkambé in the east. It's about 1.2 miles broad and 2.4 miles long, situated on the flank of an extinct volcano in the Oku Volcanic Field. At a maximum depth of 690 feet, the lake is deep and renowned for its stunning blue color and tranquil environs. Cha, Nyos, Munji, Jingbi, and Subum are a few of the villages that can be found close to the lake along the road. The lake is 50 kilometers from the northern Nigerian border and is drained by streams that travel north and then northwest to the Katsanala River in Nigeria, which is a part of the Benue River Basin. The lake is located on the northern slopes of the Massif du Mbam. In August 1986, residents who lived close to Lake Nyos started seeing odd behavior in their animals in the days before the accident. Birds were dropping from the sky, and cattle and other livestock were perished. But no one was aware of its origin. At first, people believed the animals were succumbing to a communicable sickness. Yet, as the number of casualties increased, it became clear that something much more sinister was at play. Complaints of unusual odors emanating from the lake and the vicinity started to appear. There was growing worry that something was seriously wrong with Lake Nyos when some locals complained of headaches and nausea. No one was aware of what was causing these symptoms and loses despite the mounting sense of worry. In fact, it wasn't until the accident itself that scientists were able to identify the reason behind the bizarre and tragic events. On August 21st, the disaster struck. Almost 1,700 of the 4,000 residents of the communities surrounding Lake Nyos perished in the catastrophe. Within a 15-mile radius, the cloud of carbon dioxide gas that rose from the lake smothered both people and animals. Those who lived nearest to the lake were the first ones to be impacted. Numerous people were discovered unconscious in their homes, while others perished in attempts to flee. Rescue teams found it challenging to get to those who were still alive since the gas cloud obscured the area so much that visibility was severely hampered. Cameroon was ill-prepared to deal with the situation after the accident. The number of injured and people who lost their lives swiftly overflowed hospitals, and there were not enough supplies to handle the situation. The region surrounding the lake was designated a disaster area, and several people had to be interred in mass graves. The survivors of the catastrophe also experienced long-term effects. Several people suffered the loss of family members and friends, and the trauma of the situation affected them for many years. Given that many of the residents in the area were farmers who depended on their animals for money, the disaster also had a significant impact on the local economy. The gas cloud that erupted from the lake caused widespread damage to crops and other vegetation, and the toxic gas that remained in the water made it unsafe for fishing and other forms of aquatic life. A limnic eruption, a rare natural occurrence that happens when carbon dioxide gas stored at the bottom of a lake unexpectedly explodes to the surface, was the cause of the Lake Nyos disaster. As the gas is released, a cloud forms that suffocates both people and animals who are in its path. According to scientists, the carbon dioxide gas that triggered the Lake Nyos catastrophe had been accumulating in the lake for generations. The gas was created by the organic materials at the lake's bottom naturally decomposing, and it slowly built up in the lake's depths over time. Ordinarily, the process of diffusion would cause this gas to be gradually released into the atmosphere. The gas was, however, prevented from rising to the surface in the instance of Lake Nyos because it was confined at the lake's bottom by a layer of cold water. But on that particular day, a tiny landslide disturbed the water and set off the release of carbon dioxide. The gas exploded from the lake's bottom and rushed fast to the surface, forming a huge cloud that engulfed everything in its path. Scientists all throughout the world began to research limnic lakes and the potential risks they represent as a result of the Lake Nyos disaster, which served as a wake-up call. Since the catastrophe, scientists have discovered more lakes that potentially present a similar threat and have improved their understanding of the processes that contribute to limnic eruptions. Scientists have created techniques to degas limnic lakes, which entails extracting the trapped gas before it may accumulate to dangerous levels. Installing pipelines that release the gas into the atmosphere gradually and safely is one way to accomplish this in some circumstances. Although the accident at Lake Nyos was an extremely unusual occurrence, if sufficient safety measures are not followed, other limnic lakes around the world could pose a similar threat. The potential consequence of a limnic eruption could be much more disastrous because some of these lakes are situated in places where a lot of people live close by. Lake Kivu, which straddles the boundary between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo, is one such lake. The carbon dioxide and methane gases that are trapped at the lake's bottom are abundant in Lake Kivu, just like they are in Lake Nyos. Additionally, given that the lake is close to several highly inhabited areas, a limnic eruption could have disastrous effects. Many precautions have been made in the area of Lake Kivu to lessen the chance of a limnic eruption. A number of methane extraction facilities have been developed recently to extract the lake's gas and use it to produce energy. This procedure not only lowers the likelihood of a limnic eruption, but also gives the nearby populations access to renewable energy. Only a few miles from Lake Nyos in Cameroon, Lake Manaun is another limnic lake that might be dangerous. 2 years before the Lake Nyos catastrophe, in 1984, a limnic eruption at Lake Manaun claimed the lives of 37 individuals. Scientists have established equipment to measure the quantities of gas in the water and have been closely monitoring Lake Manaun ever since the catastrophe. Despite the minimal likelihood of another limnic eruption, there are safeguards in place to prevent repeat catastrophes because of the enormous damage such an event could cause. The Lake Nyos disaster was a tragedy that claimed the lives of thousands of people and animals. It is crucial to recognize and remember the victims of this catastrophe. Several of the young people who perished in the Lake Nyos tragedy were attending a nearby boarding school at the time of the eruption and were therefore among the casualties. The first people who were impacted by the gas cloud were the students, many of whom passed away while they were asleep. The community has attempted to recognize and respect those who passed away throughout the years since the disaster. A memorial was built in the town of Nyos in 2001 to honor the disaster's victims. The memorial includes a plaque with the names of the deceased as well as an angel statue that represents hope and fortitude in the face of tragedy. Every year on August 21st, the anniversary of the disaster, the local community holds a remembrance ceremony at the memorial. This ceremony involves prayers, speeches, and the laying of wreaths in memory of the victims. The Lake Nyos disaster is a potent reminder of how fleeting life is and how crucial it is to take precautions to safeguard ourselves and our communities. By paying tribute to the victims of this tragedy, we can preserve their memory and try to avert catastrophes of a similar nature in the future. That was all for today. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe.